On the Our Town today, we have one of our favorite people ever who we miss desperately, who had a little hiccup yesterday when he was supposed to call in. I thought he was listening, which is why I said, where's Paul Nebrasky?
Well, I was kind of listening, obviously. I had people texting me saying, are you okay?
Yeah, but one of our
yours
listeners
who also know me were texting me.
I love it.
Glad people care about me, right?
Of course they do.
It is. They all do. That's for sure.
So Paul Nebrasky from Nebrasky Plumbing and Heating, who's going to be putting in our central air this year.
He is.
And I'm from beautiful Warwick, right?
Yes,
Passaic,
you are.
Warwick, we're all right there, right?
Yeah, here we
all
are,
right
baby.
nearby.
So what's on tap today, Paul?
It's funny. It's really a great day to talk about this. Frank, when we were talking last week a little bit, you talked, I think when you were mentioning something you watched on TV, and I think you were talking about air conditioning and heat pumps. And I said to myself, what a great time, and you're going to like this, Taylor, to put in what we call an air conditioning unit that also has a heat pump.
Oh.
And so we're going to talk about that a little bit,
Is that
Frank.
cheaper than oil?
Well, no. Well, you see, the heat pump also supplies heat, and I did that when my air conditioning system years ago went bad and everything had to be replaced. And at the time I said, well, how much more would it cost to do a heat pump? And they didn't offer that to me, Paul. I just happened to ask them that. And they said, it's $1,000 extra at that time. And I said, go for it. This way I can use that for supplemental heat.
And now, so you're so far ahead of your time there, Frank, and really, truthfully. With
Rarely.
That. No, because years ago, so let's just start with how air conditioning works, right? So, Frank, you probably know how an air conditioning system works in your house, how it actually cools the air.
Oh, yeah, he definitely knows.
Oh, I stumped you.
Yeah, Frank, you know.
No, I know it does it, and I know the heat pump works in reverse. But go ahead.
Exactly. So the refrigerant, it turns the refrigerant is a liquid. It superheats. It turns into a vapor, and it actually takes, as it's turning to a vapor, it absorbs the heat from the air, and the coils become cold, and then you turn on the fan and it pushes the cold across the coils, therefore air conditioning your house. And the heat pump works in reverse. When it goes back the other way, it produces heat, and we can push the heat across your house. So for years and years and years, up until recently, so the heat pump has to get its heat from a couple different sources. It's beginning heat. It's air source heat pumps, which we use most up here, and you can also do a ground source heat pump. The great thing about, for years, for a heat pump, the technology would only work at 40 degrees. So heat pumps weren't great in Orange County and in northern states because they were great in the South, or the house you did was in Jersey, correct? So a little bit
That's
southern,
correct.
more correct. Now with today's technology, heat pumps can work down to 5 degrees.
Wow.
Okay, and what's great about that heat pump, and let's just talk about a heat pump. So it's 100% renewable clean energy, Taylor.
Oh.
So what's happening is you're using no fossil fuels, right? You're not burning. There's no chimney. You're not burning oil. You're not burning gas. You're not using any fossil fuels to produce this. All right, so that is great because say you have solar, you can use your solar energy. You can use wind energy, and it has a backup of electric. So right off the bat, it's a quarter of the cost of what an oil heat system would be. Which Frank, I don't know if you noticed the reduction that you had when you put that heat pump in.
And I'm going to tell you why I did it, because I have a unique situation because my house is heated solely by electric baseboard heating, which, back in the 70s was not a bad idea. But in today's electric world, that's like a super expensive way to heat your home. So I was looking at another way to, my heat pump won't work as low as the ones out today, I'm sure, temperature-wise. But I was looking for a way to, make it a bit easier on those high electric bills that I would get all the time. And sure enough, it really does, it does make the difference. I think the only thing about it is, though, as long as you're there, it's good. I don't think you want to use it if you walk in the house and it's like super cold, you've gone for the whole day. Because there's an electric element that also does fall into that whole system, right, Paul?
Correct. So, so for years and years and years, I had customers ask me, can I put a heat pump in? I said, they really don't work in the Northeast. They're great for Florida. They're great, because it's too cold and there's not. But today's new heat pumps can work down to 5 degrees. So they absolutely do have a backup heat. If you need to heat up quickly or send him quickly, you put what we call electric heat strip in the unit, and that will turn on for the little bit of time when it's first heating up quickly. Otherwise, or if it's below 5 degrees outside, where it will not work. But how many days a year, if you look up how many days a year it's below 5 degrees outside, it's maybe 3. So for those few days, you can have a backup heat strip. So I want to really talk to you a little bit about it, Frank, where if you were going to do this today, and why I was really excited to tell you about this. The governor, and I know I'm not allowed to talk about the governor to you, Taylor, but the governor has really pushed renewable clean energy. And so is a whole
What does
country.
really pushing mean? Is he doing something about it or just
I
yapping?
believe there are incentives.
Yeah.
There's huge incentives, Frank. Huge incentives for our customers to really put in heat pumps and with your air conditioning. So let's just talk about this. I'm going to give you a customer that we're putting in next week. They called us. They needed an air conditioning system. They already had heat. They had baseboard heating, which they didn't like. And my salesman, Rob, went out and he said, well, let's talk about incentives and let's talk about what we can do for a heat pump. So he decided to go for a complete new air conditioning system with a heat pump. The cost of that sounds expensive. It was $20,000 for that. But remember now, he's no longer using his oil heat. He no longer has to use his baseboard. He's 50% energy savings. But New York State, through Orange and Rockland, is giving him an incentive of $10,700.
So he's making money on this?
He's not making money. It's $20,000 is the job.
Oh.
New York, and he doesn't even, it's not a rebate, Frank. It's exact money that they actually, New York State pays me to do it for him.
Wow.
So he's only paying $9,300.
But why does a heat pump cost so much?
Well,
in this situation, it's not only the heat pump. We're putting the heat pump in. We're putting the ductwork in. Yeah. This is a complete new installation.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, see, when I did mine...
I was going to ask you that. Let me just ask my quick question before
I forget.
Go ahead,
because you will forget.
I know, so stop talking. So here's the issue I have. When you put in those, like we wouldn't be able to have traditional air conditioning because we have an A-frame. So we're talking about that units that go in the side of the wall.
Yeah, can they be also done as heat pumps, Paul?
Yeah, because
those
heat
are the best ones for heat pumps.
But heat rises. It won't it just go away before it heats the whole room?
No, it has a fan that's able to push it down. No problem.
Okay.
Those are the best heat pumps, Frank. That Mitsubishi makes that system. They pretty much invented this technology. Oh. That's the one I use. And those are heat pumps. Okay, and those to add a heat pump component to that, like you said, it only costs $1,000, and that would qualify for rebates.
Oh, we definitely got to do that.
Okay, and it's and I think we're putting in 6 or 7 this year already, and what I want to tell our listeners, especially in an Orange Rockland area, look into this, get on this. Talk to Orange and Rockland. See, I know right now Orange and Rockland's a little confusing, is giving $1,600 to the homeowner per 10,000 BTUs, and that your average house needs 70,000 BTUs, so that's like $10,700, whatever that number is, minus around $11,000 that customer is getting. And what I love about it is it's not a rebate. You're not waiting for a rebate check. You're not waiting for
So
your
that's
stimulus
upfront
amount.
money. They pay you, and then you reduce it before you even give them the bill.
Yeah, which is absolutely amazing.
Right.
So I wanted to talk about that to our listeners. Now, there's NICEAG, which is in Goshen. They have a program. You should look at the NICEAG. Con Ed has a program. I don't know if you have any Con Ed listeners. And,
we do.
And so does Central Hudson. Right. What I don't know, and I want your listeners to call, is I don't know what's the electric in New Jersey, Frank? What's the electric?
New Jersey Power and Light.
Jersey Central Power and Light Company would be the big one.
Right. So I don't know New Jersey's incentives. I meant to look them up before I called, but please call New Jersey Power and Light. I know New York's incentives.
Ryan's looking it up. We're going to find out shortly.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you, it is, so really, it's a really, really wonderful program. Heat pumps are amazing. And Frank, do you know the couple different heat pump, like air source? There's 2 types of heat pumps.
I didn't know that. I don't know if that was available when I got mine back in the day.
Well, yeah. So when I tell people, ask me that question all the time. So there's an air source heat pump is what I put in all the time, and that's because we're taking even at 10 degrees, there's some heat in the air, so it's taking the heat out of the air. Okay, there's the air source heat pump, and most of what we do is air source heat pumps. But if you're building a new house, especially in Warwick or an area where you have a large lot, there's a ground source heat pump. Which, have you heard of the ground source heat pump?
Is that geothermal?
No. Is that
it's geothermal.
Wow.
Right. And the reason that works, if you really think about it, when you go below the frost line, the ground is still warm.
That's true.
right? So what we're doing
Hence
is
Hot Springs, Arkansas.
right. We're taking the warmth in the winter. We're taking the warmth out of the ground, putting it back into our system. Okay, and in the summer, the ground is cool, and we're taking the cool out. We're taking really, but you need a lot of room to do that. You have to dig. You have to dig 6 to 8 feet deep, so there's a lot of digging that needs to be done there. So what I suggest, and I see a lot of people do that in work on a new house, ask your contractor about the ground source heat pumps, because also the Orange and Rockland is giving you even more money to put that in.
So Paul, a couple of questions for you, because I know when I had the heat pump done, when you look at my air conditioning unit outside, you would never know, the average person would never know that there's a heat pump in there. It isn't any bigger. The unit's the same size. So it doesn't take up any more space.
Yeah, it's just a different technology.
So for people that think this is going to be a big unit sitting outside does not exist. The other question I have, and a lot of people think air conditioning is very expensive for central air. The high efficiency unit that I have costs pennies to run for air conditioning all summer long. Does that efficiency also apply to the heat pump?
Heat pump is the highest efficiency that you can get. It's almost 98% efficient.
So what would that do for us in an A-frame? Because obviously we can't have ductwork.
It's all about Taylor.
That's right, correct.
No, in the A-frame we would use the units, the mini split units that which we talked about that we fit right in your A-frame.
Which one of those do you like the best?
I like Mitsubishi.
Okay.
All right, and they invented the technology. They're the best out there. But we can look at it, and those qualify for these rebates.
Okay.
But Frank, as far as efficiency, the efficiency is the highest efficiency heating that I can give you.
So you're not really spending very much to heat your house.
No, because what you're using, if it's below 5 degrees, you're taking the air from the outside, running it across the refrigerant, of the vapor, and you're heating it. The only time, and you're using a little bit of electric to run your fan, the only time you're using a little bit is like you talked about the secondary heat, which is the heat strip. And then you need to run it. But the great part about it's electric. So you're also helping the environment. There's no fossil fuel. There's no chimney. There's no oil burning. It's a clean heat. And that's why New York State and the country is really, really pushing it.
Have you done any analysis on the amount of money people save on oil when they use these heat pumps?
I haven't, but there's been analysis done, and it's about 50%.
Wow. Okay. That's huge.
Yeah. And that's compared to electric. Now, compared to oil, I got to look that number up, and the oil industry will probably tell me different. But
and how quiet are those machines?
You don't hear them running. We can be talking right now.
No difference at all. Now, the other question is with it is that as far as if your house is cold and you go to turn the unit on and you want to raise the house, say 10 degrees. Does that mean automatically that electric is going to heat up because it realizes it's going to take too long?
Correct. It will automatically turn on when it's to help it. Okay, you program the thermostat. It will kick in it's called a secondary stage heating. It will kick in, but once it's at that temperature, now your heat pump is working.
Wow.
Right. And if you're going to go out for a couple hours, it'd almost be better to leave the heat at a certain temperature because you're not going to have to kick that electric back on to heat you back up.
That's interesting. I have this conversation with customers all the time about lowering their heat and how much they should lower the heat in air conditioning. I'm a firm believer that you should lower it 2 to 3 degrees. Okay, so
what would be an average for winter and one for summer?
Well, I mean, everybody has a different Taylor what they like. So say you like your air conditioning at 75 degrees. I'm just using that as a number.
I like it. I like to hang meat. So go ahead.
Okay, so I wouldn't say you like it 72. I wouldn't raise it any more than 75 degrees. I really wouldn't. But I have a lot of customers because the government does tell you run it up to 78 degrees, put it at 80. And Frank, I am fully with you on the air conditioning season. You have it at 80 degrees. You walk into the house, you turn it on down to 72, and now it has to run 2-3 hours for it to get down to 72.
Right.
I personally, this is my personal opinion, not the Department of Energy's opinion. I think you should lower it. I think about 3 degrees.
Yeah, so 74 to me would seem reasonable.
And it all depends on how long you're out of the house too. If you're not going to get back,
keep in mind we have 20-foot ceilings.
Right, and let me explain to you and your listeners. Today, everything is done on your phone. And so we would give you a thermostat that if you want to lower it, you're going to be out of the house a long time, Frank.
I love it.
Okay, then you just set it to turn back on, an hour before you come in, right? So if you're going to be gone a long time.
Yeah.
Now, And over to the heating side, which is a really big problem when we have cold winters. A lot of people in our area have baseboard hot water, Frank, where water runs through their baseboard, and they have older houses, like you say, you have an old A-frame, and they have a lot of wind going through them. So it's very hard to freeze running water. But if they leave for work and the heat's at 72 and they shut it down to 60, now their heat doesn't run anywhere. And I've had people freeze pipes on windy days in their house.
Wow.
Because there's no warmth in the house. So again, I don't even on the heating side. I just believe in dropping it 3 to 4 degrees when you leave for work, and
right.
And so at least turns on once in a while to run.
Right. What about the filter on these things? Do you change them as the owner? Or do you have to have someone
Well, the
come
filter's
in?
like an air conditioning
It's exactly
filter.
like an air conditioning filter.
Okay.
It is
so
the air
you
conditioning filter,
So
yeah.
you as a homeowner can change that out.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And what's interesting, and I said this on last time I was on with you guys, we're getting a lot of calls about filters and a lot of calls about COVID, with the air conditioning system, because it's all over the news.
Got to be very careful now, because now is a time with the COVID virus that people are into a false sense of security. And they need to be very aware that this can come back. We don't know we don't even know what we don't know yet.
Right. So there's two things on the air conditioning side, Frank and Taylor, that I'm selling. Well, I'm selling one, looking into the other, and one I'm trying to sell, but I cannot. One is UV light. A UV light in an air conditioning system, ductwork system, and you cannot put that on your Mitsubishi system, Taylor, the one you're getting, because I know you're going to ask me that.
There's no ducts.
Yeah, because that really filters out a lot of the bacteria and germs, right?
Right, and the UV lights, which I never fully believed in. I only like to sell something I 100% believe in.
Why don't you believe in it?
Well, I didn't know how well they worked. I didn't research them. If a customer doesn't change the light every year, it doesn't work. And I don't ever want to give somebody a false sense of security that I'm killing all the viruses. They can't get sick of it.
Right.
But I did a lot of research in the last 2 months, and the UV sterilization in air conditioning and heating in ductwork does work.
Oh.
So I decided, okay, my customers were asking for it, I'm going to start selling it. So I think I sold 12 of them in the last 2 weeks, and guess what? I can't get them. They're sold out for like the next 4 months.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Well, Honeywell makes them, and, I think everybody has the same idea, because they kill viruses, the UV light.
It's a perfect thing to have right now, because the safer you are, the less chance you'll have.
Yeah,
of
but I mean,
this.
if you already have the virus in your house, you're pretty much done anyway, aren't you?
Well, yeah, but and again, I don't know if it kills COVID, but what my customers are saying to me is anything that could kill a virus, anything that could work, and if a UV light is going to help, and really all we do that is we put that in the ductwork, it lights up when the unit turns on, and it's the air that's passing through it.
Well, you know what? Even if it filters out the germs that can cause other viruses or flu, it keeps your immune system better, too.
Well, it's better. Anytime you can eliminate, things like that, you're in better shape.
Especially for people who have asthma or other issues.
And absolutely. And I didn't fully believe in it. And now I said, you know what? I would never tell a customer no, but I would never push it. And now I believe in it. I really do.
Well, I'm glad
Now,
to hear
Paul,
that.
when you're doing a heat pump and you're doing maintenance on it, is it part of your regular air conditioning seasoning?
Yes, correct. So it's part of our regular air conditioning
So you
season.
do a maintenance agreement like yearly, annual?
Yearly, and correct. So it's part of 100% maintenance agreement. We do heating. We do if when we put your heat pump in, we're going to do really you don't need a big maintenance on the mini splits, but if like say your office, we're going to do winter and summer air conditioning maintenance agreement, and we're going to check them both at the same time.
And we have to have your guy come out because it's about that time for the furnace.
But it's
too.
not like you're doing it. So you have to go twice a year then on this to do the heating also, or no?
You don't have to, but I like to be at your house twice a year. It's the same refrigerant. Okay, that's working. That's turning it. That cools it is heating it. You don't have to go twice a year, but I like to be there twice a year to make sure everything's working properly for you. Frank.
Yeah, I was looking at it. Am I saving money by doing that because I'm not having a full furnace take apart thing, or?
But you're not losing money. There's no more maintenance. Let's put it this way: for a heat pump air conditioning system, than there is an air conditioning system. I don't see any. Years ago, the downfall to heat pumps in Northeast where we live was they only worked up to 40 degrees. So you were using your backup energy most most of the time in the winter, especially when we have cold winters. But today's new technology, where they work down to 5 degrees, I cannot find any fault or any reason not to put a heat pump in if you're doing something new.
But pretty much it runs on its own, not like a furnace where you constantly need parts and things and everything else with it. So I would think over the long run, it's going to save you some money.
Well, I agree, especially over oil. I mean, oil is expensive to maintain. Oils. You got to get oil changes, filter changes. There's a lot to go there. You got to get oil delivered. You got to get So there's really, as long as you have electric, it's working. It's just a really, really great product that I fully believe in, and we're selling, and I just want our listeners to take advantage of what New York State's giving you. It's through New York State's funding it through the utility company.
And I'll tell you one other thing. You can tell it's a heat pump outside because mine is sitting on just one row of cinder blocks, and the reason for that, Paul?
What's the reason for? I'm ready. Tell me.
You don't want to get snow to build up around in the wintertime.
100% right, Frank.
Yeah, because you're using it for heat.
Taylor, I don't need to do this show anymore. I don't need to do the show.
No, he's just your puppet.
I researched.
No. Frank, my puppet. Frank, I did. You didn't hear that. No.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, but no, I'll tell you, that's they said, we just put on a set of cinder blocks because you don't want snow. Regular air conditioning, you don't care if it's on the ground because you're using it when it's hot outside. There's no snow. But if you get a foot of snow on the ground, it can affect the way it runs. So you want to keep it a little bit off the ground, but not high. But otherwise, you'd never know.
It really depends on so let's talk about that for a second. It depends on the snow line. So if your average snow in New Jersey, where your house is in Jersey, is 6 inches, you want to be 7, 8 inches off the ground.
Yeah, what do you do in New York?
In New York, we generally put them a foot. We put them 1 foot. We have a stand and we put them 1 foot off the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so it really depends on your snow line. All right, and that's fine. We know what that is. We put them on a stand. It's just a great piece of equipment. Now, I put them in my own house. I have them in my own personal house. We have heat pumps. And my backup heat is radiant heat, which we spoke about. So there's many different ways that you can do this. What I love about the heat pump, and what I just lived through my first winter through the heat pump, normally we would turn our regular heat on at, we would like to shut off in May. Well, this May, it was really cold, right? We had snow in May. With a heat, we turned our regular heating off, which was our boiler, which uses a lot of energy, and we just ran our heat pump during May. So we didn't have to run.
So you do run a furnace or a boiler?
I run a boiler. Well, my system, we can talk about it all day, is a little bit complicated because I have radiant heat. So
We've seen your system, Paul. That is crazy down there.
Yeah. So if it could be made, I have it installed in my house, right? Because I have
Absolutely.
I have to live what I speak.
You do.
Okay. So so I have a boiler that actually heats my radiant tubing that goes through my floor that warms my floors in my house. So I have a floor warming system, which I know you know about that, Frank. You've definitely seen that.
I've seen. You know when I saw that for the first time many years ago on this old house.
Yeah.
I saw Richard Tatui putting it into.
They always talk about how the warmth comes up from the ground. You stay warmer. Your feet feel warm.
They do it in bathrooms and kitchens a lot.
Yeah, I did it in my own house. My dog loves my house in winter. I mean, and so do we. We don't. I have it here in the office, and if you ever come to the office, my whole staff in the winter takes off their shoes when they walk in, not because I make them, because their feet are warm. They love. Okay, so
that's cool.
Radiant heat's really cool.
I love it.
So Frank, I want to tell you something that I learned today. So I learned something new every day. Right?
Okay.
So somebody called me and asked me about bipolar ionization.
I have no idea what that is.
I thought you were going into psychology.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I was going to tell her. I said, well, can we call Taylor? Taylor can answer that one.
That's for sure.
Right? Because there's this big thing with buildings opening up in New York City, and people are nervous about going back to work.
Right.
So supposedly, and this is brand new to me, and I'm going to look into this for my clients and for our listeners, bipolar ionization, it's tubes that you put in your air conditioning system, generally in commercial air conditioning, but now they're moving it to residential, and it takes oxygen molecules from the air and charges them into atoms, right? And that cluster around viruses and kill the viruses.
Oh.
Wow.
Wow. So this is really important for offices because you have so many people going in and out.
And supposedly they've been doing, and it kills 99.9%.
Well, they don't know about the COVID virus. They just know viruses.
Well, they know viruses. They're testing the COVID virus from what I read today.
Good. I hope so.
Really, I love learning stuff new every day. So somebody called me about this. I looked into it, and I'm trying to see if they make it for residential because we don't work on big commercial buildings, but it is in most. It's been around. It's been around like since 2004, if not earlier. It's in a lot of commercial buildings like hospitals and stuff, and very, very interesting. So I'm thinking to myself, I already got enough issues when I'm doing now. I got to worry about bipolar ionization and atoms. I'm a plumber. I mean, what are we doing here?
Well, I'll help you on this psychological
Yeah.
process.
Okay.
Technology
so, Frank,
rolls.
Have you done this one on this old house? Bipolar ionization?
No,
but
this we haven't seen.
But we were thinking we were going to give you a snapshot. They just finished the home they were working on up in New England, which originally was a summer home, but it was a massive house, and they put radiant heat in every room of the house. And all the downstairs rivaled yours pretty much, but a little smaller space. But they had everything on the ceiling, on the walls. We should take a snapshot of that and send it over to Paul.
I haven't done ceiling and walls. I know it's been done. I ran into it by accident.
Does that save money on heat if you do it like that?
Well, but the deal is though with the system they had though, Paul. He had 3 different temperatures for the radiant heat, depending on whether it was heating a wood floor, his tile floor. So he had a whole 3 systems for that and everything else. They spent a couple of bucks on that house.
Yeah, radiant heat. So Taylor, yes, and I have different temperatures and different how we design. My driveway's one temperature, wood floor's another. But to answer your question, Taylor, you save some money on radiant heat. The main reason you spend money on radiant heat, it only takes 110 to 115 degree water to heat your floors up to get them warm.
Okay.
Where they're at that 98
That's like
degrees.
kitchen sink hot water.
Right. Where if you have baseboard hot water from a boiler, it's 180 to 200 degrees.
A lot of difference.
So so you also save is, as we were talking on a radiant heat system, and now we're talking heating in summer, but it becomes the floor becomes a radiator. So now everything in the house is warm. So you do save some money, but it's not a heat pump. A heat pump is unbelievable, renewable, clean energy. It's the savings is it's a 98% efficient unit. It's just it's an amazing system.
Well, Paul, I'm like I said, I'll back you on that. I think it's an amazing way to go, and with the rebates, you can't go wrong. So if people want to get more information about heat pumps, if you're thinking of like I said, the reason why I did it was because I had an air conditioning system and the thing was shot all the way around. I needed a whole new system, and I started researching it back then, and the heat pump was a new technology. Today, it's much more efficient and works better at all temperatures. If people want to know more about that and rebates and everything, how would they get in touch with you?
Well, there's our website, nebraskyplumbing.com, or they can call us at 845-783-6661. Don't call me about bipolar ionization. That's Taylor's job. Okay?
I'll tell you what to do about that.
Just the bipolar part of it, maybe.
Exactly. That psychology degree will really help me.
And Frank, I think that I don't know about a puppet, but I think I need a partner in my new reality show.
That's correct.
I'm in there. I'm with you.
He loves this.
I love it. I eat it up. I love technology.
He's just in heaven right now.
I would have gone into home construction if it wasn't radio or music and stuff like that. I've always been into home remodeling, and like I said, I never missed an episode of This Old House, and or a lot of these shows I watch all the time, just because I enjoy watching and seeing what technology is out there.
We're going to call his new show "This Young Plumber."
You would think.
If I would have met you and Taylor first, I might never went into plumbing. I mean,
come on, radio, yeah.
We're good.
You're
Frank.
really are a natural. I have to say.
Obviously, now you're in a field that basically it changes every year with new technology, and that's what's cool.
Paul has a formula for talking on the radio because it is unique and.
Well, he's got a passion for it too.
Well,
I mean, he knows.
He
loves
lets that
this.
passion and the knowledge he has come through, and that's what people attach to, and that's why people love him on the radio.
Well, thank you for that, Taylor. I got people texting me, where was I yesterday?
I know. So there you go. I rest my case.
Now, before I let you guys run, I heard my friend Neil saying he's coming back, so that means I need to come back.
Exactly right.
All right. You feel ready.
I'm not going to let Neil get one up on me after what he's done to me over the years and tortured my staff with phone calls and on the radio. So I can't.
8 bathrooms, and you haven't been there once yet.
Yeah, so I will talk to you in the next 2 Tuesdays, and I have to take a small trip, and when I get back, I will be back in 2 weeks.
Yes, he will.
Very good. All right, well, we really look forward to that,
We'll put the
Paul.
welcome flag out there. believe
All right,
me.
It will
and
be.
I want my Bloody Marys.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Tell Eileen that. She posts the most gorgeous pictures of cocktails I've ever seen.
Well-
It's like my mouth is watering. I want whatever that green thing was that she had out.
Oh yeah, her basil smash, where she
Oh,
grows
my
the basil in
God.
her new garden. It's Taylor, amazing.
All right,
Amazing.
one
drink.
to go, please.
All right, you got. Hey, thanks, guys. Have a
Thank you
great
very
day.
much.
You
Have a
too.
safe trip.
Okay. All right.